Semet Fitness, coming at you with another video here. We are continuing our topics on the programming and how to get you with the best possibilities for your training goals. Sustainability, longevity, muscle mass, skills, all the good stuff with your bodyweight training, your bodyweight training science. Train hard, train smart, and train consistent. You need all three. You can't just have one of them and expect that to make all the magic happen for you. It is paramount that you understand your maximum recovery volume, okay? How much can you, the athlete, you, the trainee, tolerate? You also must understand your minimum effective dose, that's your MEV. So like, what can I have to essentially maintain? Once you have those and you understand that, we now have to understand that warranting stress adaptation to the body is necessary. So, okay, let's start off with one of the first columns, which is hypertrophy. Many circles, you'll understand that people say 6 to 12 sets, 6 to 12 reps, at a 65, maybe 70 to 85% of your 1RM. What is your 1RM with bodyweight training? It's tough to quantify, but this is why we create that hierarchy, that chart. If you want to know a chart and the hierarchy of bodyweight training, check out the link below. I have something linked down there. Let's say, for example, you can do a full planche push-up for 1 rep. Legs straight, arms completely straight, and then you bend and then you go right back, 1 complete rep. You cannot get enough time and attention for a hypertrophic response with that. So what do? In order to quantify how much body weight that you're actually pushing, we want to regress. So maybe you go into a straddle planche push-up with the hands on the floor, but maybe that only gives you about, maybe you're only able to produce 3, maybe 4 repetitions with that. We're getting closer to the hypertrophy scale of things, yes, but we are also decreasing the percentage of our 1RM, which is critical. What if I now change it from, instead of on the hands on the floor, I put my hands on a parallel bar. So I'm on high parallel bars and I'm doing straddle planche push-ups. Now I have more leverage and I have more assistance with that exercise. So we went from turning our full planche push-up of being our 1RM to the straddle planche with maybe 3 reps, hypothetically speaking. And now let's just say you can somehow produce maybe 6 reps, maybe 7 reps on a straddle planche push-up on the parallel bars. We're training that now for hypertrophy. In essence, now more time with attention, we've reduced the amount of body weight that we are essentially pushing, or rather, we reduced the amount of assistance and mechanical leverage. So, or I should say increased, my apologies, increased, because if your hands are on the floor, that's obviously, you're at a disadvantage, and that is the most difficult position that you can do it in, other than maybe doing a planche push-up on gymnastic rings, and then increasing your leverage, getting more assistance, meaning we're making the exercise regressed and adding more assistance, increasing the leverage so that we can do more reps. That's one of your main key things with bodyweight training, is how can you manipulate your body weight in terms of skill, and how can you either use leverage to either increase it or decrease it to make it harder or more easy, so to speak. Hypertrophy training, hypertrophic training, the enlargement of muscle mass. It's actually critical though, because the larger the muscle mass, the more capability it has to be stronger. That being said, I think it's very important for all trainees with calisthenics to go through an accumulation phase, because we want to stick on strength, and high intensity, which we'll talk about, with also neglecting the size of our muscle. When you are approaching these feats of strength, and believe you me, do not be dazzled and brainwashed by all these cool calisthenic flips and tricks. You have to consider the time it took for people to get there. You also have to consider their individual differences, how much they weigh, their lifestyle factors, and what they do. You also don't know how many injuries they have sustained to even get to that certain feat of strength for the lovely, glorious Instagram pictures, likes, and things of that nature. Just be mindful of that. Let's talk strength now. Strength is factored by your intensity. Now, this requires what we talk about, maybe a 1 to 5 rep range, and we'll hear talks from guys like the Barbell Medicine crew, the Dr. Mike Israels, or Juggernaut Strength Training, Starting Strength. You know, great resources. Strength is driven by intensity. A lot of people in the literature will say 1 to 5 repetitions is what's necessary. So let's implement that to our bodyweight training world. If I am doing front lever rows and I can max out front lever rows at 3 repetitions, great for me, fantastic. What if I wanted to elicit more of a strength training response and get closer to that 1 RM? Maybe now I'm doing front lever rows, straight legs on gymnastic rings as opposed to a bar. The gymnastic rings tend to be much more difficult than a regular pull-up bar. So your apparatuses are key critical components to either giving you more of an assistance or all at the same time not giving you assistance. Other methodologies are highly critical as well, such as accommodating resistance, lightening your body weight mid-exercise by reducing the progression or making the progression easier, so to say. So if I'm doing front lever rows and I'm starting to get really taxed out and maybe I want to add more strength, more neural adaptation to that movement pattern, let's say I'm on the gymnastic rings and I do a perfect front lever row. I want to get more time under tension. I could then maybe attempt one more front lever row, and as I'm going up, maybe I stick my legs out into a straddle so that I regress the movement and I've gained more leverage. Now maybe I can bang out 2 more reps. I've gotten more tired. I still want to add more time under tension within this movement pattern of the front lever rows. Maybe instead of going from the straddle front lever row with the legs completely out like this, now you tuck them. A lot of animation I'm giving you guys. All right, so that is an interesting way on how to quantify your body weight, because strength is usually predicated upon the 80 to or 85 to your 100% RM of your 1 RM. So very key things to be mindful of. It's all about the regression and the progression, the apparatus that you're using, and your methods on how you are implementing your training. Very critical on how you program. The other thing I want to talk about is now the other column, which everyone is in love with, skills. My approach to skills and my approach to strength are almost similar. Approach it, here are my key points. Skills needs this. Skills need technical proficiency. Skills need body awareness, so a lot of proprioception, your body in space. Skills need tension mastery. Skills need neural adaptation as the strength. And I want to say that skills may need time. Yeah, time. Skills need time. All these 5 things. Why? Because let's say, again, let's use the handstand as a perfect example. The handstand requires time. And if you are fatigued, you cannot exactly use that time to your advantage, because if you get into the handstand with proper form, terrible form, or any other skills for that matter, you're wasting precious, valuable time. Get into the skill that you're aiming for, the progression of a movement that you're aiming for, fresh. Greasing the groove is a great way to do this, essentially setting block periods of times or timestamps throughout the day to work on that 1 or maybe 2 skills alone away from your training. So it has its own time frame, and your training should maybe facilitate the skill that you're going after, but the skill in and of itself, like handstand, probably shouldn't be in your training. And if it is, it should probably be done before the actual training session so that fatigue isn't adhering your ability to do a handstand. If you want to know more about the whole fatigue management, another link down in the video or in the description below, kind of thing. Tension is another critical thing. What muscles are inactive? If I am working on my front levers and I have very piss poor hip extension, I cannot extend my hips, I don't have good pelvic control, pelvic awareness, my tension is lagging and it's leaking, so some muscles are inhibited, they're not working, which is why you need time, you need the practice and the technical proficiency to get used to the movement. You keep hammering it in, but you realize that your hips are dropping, so you can't maintain that perfect straight line that you're looking for. Now you've gotten it. Let's say you've picked it up. You're able to now extend your leg, extend your hips, get good hip extension, and engage your lats and really tear down the bar or the rings on that front lever. Practice that. Get really good at it. Get your body aware to the tension that needs to be implemented so that when you are approaching your front lever training or your back lever, things in your mind, the technical proficiency, body awareness, attention, proprioception, all that stuff, highly paramount. Knowing your MRV, knowing your MEV, minimum effective dose, your MRV of maximum recovery volume, all paramount. I also want to say that with hypertrophy, the enlargement of your muscle mass, it's needed, because if you focus on only the strength, you might have a longer time to recover. You might also find yourself a little bit more injury prone, which we'll talk about what is also needed in the next video for the integrity of your joint health, the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders, which tend to be the focal, which tends to be the focal point of what can get hurt. It's usually the main thing that you have to pay attention to. So tissue health, joint integrity, things of that nature. We need hypertrophy, we need strength, and if we want to focus on skills, then that is another topic as well. Focusing on skills, I personally believe, requires smart dedication and smart time, and your training needs to facilitate the skills that you're after. Hence why block period or daily undulated periodization, essentially knowing what you're doing with your program and not just stabbing in the dark and shooting with the wind, trying to make your parachute on the way down when you jump off the plane. You need to know what you're doing. You need to have a plan. This is why I say train hard, train smart, train consistent. All these elements and factors are interwoven together, but you can't do all of them all at once. That's why it's called training. Semet Fitness. Peace.